I want you to look at somebody right now, like your best drama king, drama queen, whatever. I want you to ask them, say, now what? Oh my goodness, really? Now I want you to dead eye them, mean mug them, and act like you want to answer. Say, now what? We've talked about this not normal. You're probably thinking, what am I supposed to do with this not normalness? Actually, I'm going to put this up. What do you want me to do with this not normalness? What, you tried to give me confidence in it. What do I do with it? It's a weird season. Everybody's weird. Everybody's stressed out. We're acting like fools. You're seeing seeing everybody act out of character. What do you want me to do with it? And I told you, like, the Not Normal series was great, but for the rest of the summer may be longer because we're, like, changing everything up as it comes to us. I want to answer the question, now what? What do you do with it? This is crazy, man. Everybody's flipping out, and, it's crazy. Now what? Now what? I want to start that today by answering I want to answer that question by talking about an area of all of our lives that we're too normal. We're just like everybody else. We're too normal. We have all been that guy, which is why the title of my message today is Don't Be That Guy. Don't be that guy. We've all been it. We've been like everybody else. We're too normal. Every one of us, nobody excluded. I'm going to show you that, including myself. And I want you to know that we are all haters. We don't like haters. But we don't know how to do anything but hate, and we do it every day, and we don't even realize we're doing it. It's become normal. And before I prematurely upset somebody, I want to go ahead and jump into the passage because my long introductions, there's no need today. Will you stand with me? Will you stand with me? I want you to focus. I know you just sat down. I'll give you some rest. I promise. A little bit. You'll be able to sit down, but as we jump into this passage, I want you to right now, will you ask God, say, help me see it? Help me apply it. Luke chapter 9, this is Jesus. John is coming to Jesus with some concerns. And this is what happens. Master, said John, we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him because he is not one of us. Do not stop him, Jesus said, for whoever is not against you is for you. I want you to know right now, if you would get this part of the message, you would go home and you would change your lives and you would change the world around you. But I think we can do better. So I'm going to keep reading. It says, as the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out to Jerusalem. He was going to the cross. He was like, it's time to head that way, guys. It's time to head to my ultimate destiny, to show the world how much I love them and how much they're worth it, and to die for their sins, and to die to just show them what they're working with. It was time, and he said, let's head that way. And he sent messengers ahead who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. So going to Jerusalem, he needed to go through a village, a Samaritan village, to get there. So he sent people ahead to prepare them that he was coming. But the people there did not welcome him because he was heading for Jerusalem. They didn't like his decision. They didn't like what he was doing, and they were threatening him. When the disciples James and John saw this, they asked, Lord, do you want us to call fire down from heaven to destroy them? They wanted to do like a rerun of the Old Testament when Elijah defeated the prophets of Baal and proved that God was God. He was like, let's just kill them all. They're threatening you. They're bad guys. Let's get them. But Jesus turned and rebuked them. Then he and his disciples went to another village. Lord, right now, there is so much wisdom in so little time. And I just want to, Lord, help me communicate your heart and give us the motivation, inspiration, and honestly the openness to do something with it. Because we love you and we're here because of that. Change us in Jesus' name. Amen. As you're seated, look at somebody, tell them my point. Say, don't be a jerk. Right now, we are live. Share this video. In this season, guys, like a lot of people aren't here, a lot of Catafam, a lot of people out there we can reach. The only way, or the best way for us to reach them is to share the video and give them an opportunity to hear a message that can change them and challenge them. So when you share this video, hashtag it, don't be a jerk. That's our way. We get to love on people from a distance, and we'll do it any way we can. John was being that guy. John came to Jesus and said, I don't like that guy. He's doing what we're doing, how we're doing it, but I don't like him. He's not one of us. I don't know what bothered John about him, but something did. I don't know if John was jealous of him, if John saw himself in it. I don't know what it was. But John didn't like him, and he came to Jesus, and he said, that guy who is doing exactly what we're doing, I don't like it. He's not one of us. I don't want to speculate on why John had this attitude, but now that we know psychology, basic psychology, it's going to be hard to hear today, but I'm not making something up here. This is basic psychology, okay? And you're going to have to give me a minute. Hold up. Hear my heart and give me a minute. Basic psychology tells us that we can spot things in other people that we struggle with in ourselves. We're very good at it. Matter of fact, the quickest things you can spot in other people, you struggle with yourself. Matter of fact, when you can diagnose quickly and efficiently what somebody else is dealing with, that's a telltale sign you deal with it. And I know that you think, oh yeah, that's true. I'm going to show you how true today. You just got to give me a minute to unpackage it and know I'm going somewhere with it. The things that you were most impatient about, the things that you were passionately impatient about, are the qualities that you and I possess. Oh man, I just got somebody there. They're like, what's this? Where's this going? When you say and we say, I just don't know how they see it this way. I just don't know why they act that way. I just don't know how they could possibly say that. I don't understand it. Yes, you do. We understand it so well, and if we're honest with ourselves and will admit it, we understand it and we see ourselves in it. There may be different details and different damage. We have the same characteristic and character flaws. And you look at somebody else's story that looks different, but it pisses you off because you see yourself and you don't like it, and we lash out against it. We are impatient with the qualities we possess. We can spot things in other people that we struggle with in ourselves. Now, I want to kind of make it. This is the reason that we're all so aggressive on social media. Your opinion and your perspective is not the reason that you're so aggressive on social. It's not the main reason you're so aggressive on social media. The reason that people are so aggressive on social media is because they identify and see a stubbornness as strong as their own. Which is why, especially with people with a different opinion and perspective, and they see it differently, we lash out, which is why we will spend 30 minutes commenting on somebody else's post, which very few people are going to see. We put so much effort into it, go back and forth for 3 hours and waste our lives with an unnecessary conversation that we'll fight to the death, that it's not unnecessary. It is not your opinion. I know that's a part of the reason you see things the way you do, but the main reason is you see a stubbornness that you identify in yourself. Let me get some water because I'm not done yet. Look at somebody and say, I'm going to hear his heart today. You said that quietly. The things in my kids that make me the maddest. The things in my kids that make me the maddest. I'm talking about the things that make me mad, A-H, and sometimes I want to replace the H with another letter. I thought about it this week because I wanted to let y'all know, like, I'm in this thing. The things that make me the maddest are not the things that I do differently because I'm older. It's the things that I do the very same. The kids, Angie, my brother, they leave cups everywhere. Everywhere I get up, I'm like, how did this many cups just appear? I'm mad. I don't use cups. I leave Sprite Zeros everywhere. That's different. I don't care what you said, that's different. Because you don't have to put Sprite Zero cans in the dishwasher. Don't feed me. It's different. I get mad. I feel like taking advantage of mad. Like, seriously? My baby boy Garrett, man, like I have to pull him away from the pantry because he's like a dog. Like, he will eat until his stomach explodes and he will die if I don't take some initiative to take him away from the food. I'm angry. I'm like, I will literally look at him, and I do it still to this day, and I catch myself. I'm like, where did you see this type of behavior? What made you think this is okay? You were 12. And then after about 3 or 4 times when I shut his spirit down, I realize it because I try to work on myself. Ooh, I'm sweating already in my eyes. Ooh. I see it. I'll laugh at him sometimes. When I admit it, I'll say, you your daddy's son. The things that make me mad are what I struggle with. I may be 22 years or 23 years ahead of him. I may be years ahead of everybody in my house. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm mad because that's me. I can spot it out a mile away because I struggle with it myself, and we all do that. We can make our aggression towards other people look pretty, but the things that you were most impatient about are the things that, if you're honest with yourself, the characteristics behind the action you struggle with. We all do. Daddies out there, I want to straight tell you, daddies, your baby girl brings a guy home that you don't like. You think your baby girl can do better and deserves better. That may be true. That may be true. But the reason you act crazy and out of character is because game recognizes game. You used to be that guy, and if some of us guys are honest, we still struggle with some womanizing tendencies that we're projecting on the guy that likes our daughter that's 30 years younger than us. You can't be bitter at your daughter for being attracted to a guy who treats her the same way that she's watched you treat her mama her whole life. But boy, we get angry. We lecture her. We talk about it, and it's like, look in the mirror, and you'll see the problem. I got one more. Can y'all handle one more before I get to where I'm going? Can you hear my heart? Because it's going to be a hard one, okay? Look at somebody right now. Do this. Say, I love Ben. I love him, and I know he loves me. Look at somebody else. Say, I know he loves me. I know that the protesters and looters have bothered a lot of people really bad. I know it. I've heard it. I've heard a lot of people say, I just don't understand damaging other people's property. And I know you're frustrated. I know some of you are very frustrated by it. Here's what I want you to know. I want you to hear my heart. I want you to hear what I believe is the heart of Jesus. Pain causes everybody to act out. Okay? Pain causes us all to do things that we regret and are ashamed of, even if the moment we're not. Sorry, it's a little heavier on me now because it's the second time and it weighs on me saying this stuff. You don't understand people burning down other people's property. I don't understand how they can burn down other people's businesses. Look at your own life and the areas that you've been hurt, and I promise you burned down or attempted to burn down something. You may have burned down your marriage. You may have burned down your relationship with your kids because you worked too hard on your career and you got older and realized that career was not what matters. You burnt down respect because of how you handle things with your coworkers or with your friends or with your church friends. You burn a bridge. You may have burned down the people you love, their confidence, because you put so much pressure on them to perform. We all act out when we are hurting. And we burn down something. And if you haven't burnt down something, thank you, Jesus, that God gave you grace and mercy. And all my people out there are like, well, I've got faith. I feel good about my life. I made some really good decisions, and you've stayed in church and you've done things the right way. I got something for you too. Self-righteousness is so unattractive that if you truly feel that way, look around your life, and I promise you, most of the people in your life are people who are as opinionated and of the same persuasion as you. And you have burned down the greatest opportunity, not the easiest, that Jesus gave when he said it's easy to love people who are like you. There's no reward in that. You were surrounded by people who can listen to you and tolerate you because they see it and are as loud as you. Pain causes us all to do terrible things. Some things we celebrate in the church, like the anger and bitterness, we celebrate because you can wrap a verse around it. It's still burning things down. It's still terrible. Like these people's businesses, like they don't understand what they're doing. Yeah. And I pray to God that yours and my junk don't get on primetime television one day, because that is the only way that you will ever see the wolves that we are when it comes to people who do the same junk, but their damage looks different. We will crucify people because we see ourselves in it. We don't like it. We don't care to admit it. You may walk out of here today and not. We don't like it, and we lash out because even if the damage looks different, it's the same. And you see it. You see it in yourselves. The question is, what are you going to do with it? That. Where am I going with this? As a society, we've learned to cope with our crap by criticizing other people's crap. It's a coping mechanism. We choose to spend our time criticizing other people's crap so that we can cope with our crap, because the last thing that any of us really want to do is look in the mirror. And it's painful to look in the mirror. It's very painful, and it'll hurt. But the only way you're going to heal, the only way you're going to deal with things and be able to love like Jesus loved and to be loved like he wants to love you, is to look in the mirror. But we will do anything not to look in the mirror. We live in a culture, it is strong, where we acknowledge our imperfections, but we address everybody else's. You have no idea how many people I sit down with, and they will start out the conversation by saying, I know that I did this. I know that I'm a part of the problem. I know that I'm a part of the reason of where I am where I am. I know that I'm not the good guy in my marriage that's ending. I know that they will acknowledge their imperfections, and they will spend the rest of the time talking to me, talking about all the other problems and everybody else that's the reason they're where they are. But they did this, but this wasn't fair, the break I caused. We literally do that every day. We acknowledge that we have issues, but we spend our lives addressing everybody else's. People have been married 25 years, and 10 of them, they hate each other. The bridge is burned because they spent so many years addressing the other one's problems. They knew they had them, but they didn't want to talk about and address theirs. Because if we can criticize others, we don't have to deal with our own. And that's why we either are very lonely, or we have less people in our lives that love us and deal with us than we used to. And we wonder why, and we blame everybody else, and we say, no, it's not me. Yes. Jesus said, don't be a jerk, not just for other people, but for yourself. For yourself. For yourself. We acknowledge everybody else's, but we acknowledge ours, but we address everybody else's. And God, that's why we're miserable. And Jesus told John, he said, no, we're going to stop this where it starts. We're cutting it off at the legs, man. Don't do that. He said, John, if they are not against you, they are for you. Stop it. He knew it. Jesus knew that it was a problem. There is this beautiful verse. beautiful verse in the Bible that talks about Jesus. I'm actually looked up a different translation because the one I memorized I never appreciated that much. It says that Jesus, it said he wouldn't crush the weakest reed or put out a flickering candle. If anybody was trying, it's saying he left them alone. You see, the angry moments of Jesus are always with the people that are established in their opinions, the religious people. He left people alone. Listen to me. You don't have to believe like somebody. You don't have to believe in them. You don't have to like them. You don't have to like what they're doing. You don't have to believe in what they're doing. You can still leave them alone. The Bible says that he would not even put out a flickering candle. If it was almost dead, he wanted them. He had hope in people. He was like, I'm not going. If it's got life, I want to empower it. I want to encourage life. That is not us. That is not our culture today. We would rather criticize so that we don't have to deal with we'd rather criticize their crap so we don't have to deal with our own. That's what we do. And he said, don't, John. We're going to stop that before it starts. Look at somebody and say, Jesus said, don't be a jerk. Don't let people put out your fire. Please don't let people put out your fire. Because what will happen, we see a time where everybody is putting out everybody's fire because everybody's fire has been put out. And what happens is when somebody puts out your fire, you'll repeat the pattern. You'll put out other people's fire. Man, I'm tired. Whew. They'll put out your fire. You'll do the same thing the same way. We live in a world where everybody's showing I don't say they're showing their true colors. I say they're just acting out of what they aren't and what they think they have to be. And if you let people put out your fire, you'll become who put out your fire. I've stood on this stage in moments that this church has experienced. We're in a crazy season. I mean, it's crazy, but we've experienced moments in 3.5 years that most churches will never see. And we're just getting started. You just wait till we come out of this season. You just wait to see what God does. I've stood up here in some moments where this place, it blew my mind how many people were in here, and I walked off this stage feeling like I was winning. I got to see what God could do through a guy that is not qualified to do what I'm doing. I just want to do it. And immediately within 30 minutes, I've had text in those moments. I'm talking about some of the most hateful texts. I'm not talking about just criticism that isn't constructive. I'm talking about misrepresenting what I say, who I am, mine and Derek's motives, telling us how full of it we are and how arrogant we are. And I go from feeling like I'm winning to having to process on what should have been some of the greatest days of this church, having to process so that I didn't let somebody put my fire out. And the same things happen to you. And if you will look, if you have become pessimistic, if you have been a part of just venting and putting out there all your dissatisfaction and discouragement and frustration with this world, if you will, you can trace it back. Think about the time. Trace it back to when you started changing. Trace it back to when you lost your joy. Trace it back to when you lost your hope and when you lost your pursuit for your dreams and the perseverance. Trace it back, and I promise you'll trace it back to a person, a people, a season, a circumstance that put out your fire. And then if you look at it, you will see that you have in some way repeated the same thing that put out your fire. I refuse to let people put out my fire. I refuse it. Because it'll happen if I let it. Because I am not going to cope with my crap by criticizing everybody else. And Jesus said, John, if they are not against you, they are for you. Quit looking at everybody as an enemy. Quit looking at the person that's not voting, or quit looking at the president that you're not voting for or the one running. Stop it. We can make anybody out to be enemies, but most of them aren't. And we become a people who project on everybody what we identify in ourselves. Now, I know that I want to answer the question, what do you do about the enemies? What about the people who are toxic in your life? What about the people you do need distance? What about the people that you need to set boundaries with? It's funny because the story transitions from John, you're overreacting, you're overthinking, you're being insecure, and you need to stop before you create a habit that will destroy you. Then it says, Jesus set out, he's going to Jerusalem. I'm going to the cross. And he had to go to the cross by way of a Samaritan village. I'm not going to go into the history of Samaria. One day I will, and it's a beautiful story. But Samaritans felt left out by all the world, that known world. They felt left out. They were looked down upon. And they didn't like it that Jesus was going to Jerusalem. So he sent people ahead of him, and they found out it was dangerous. These people wanted to hurt him. They did not like it. They were angry. They did not welcome him. And they come back to John and James, who we know in the Bible are nicknamed the sons of thunder. They're stubborn. They're just like us. You get them in their feelings, oh snap. And they say, Jesus, let's call fire down from heaven and kill them. Yeah, they going to find out what standing against you is all about. We do it every day. I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to spend my life proving the people, proving the haters wrong. Oh, they did that. And it says that Jesus rebuked them. And another translation says that he told them, you don't know what spirit you're of. He looks at him, he says, you don't even get the freaking point of the entire thing, guys. But then, I saw this as I was reading and writing this message, and this is the most beautiful part, that if we apply to our lives, it would change your life forever. Allie, will you put that last verse up there? It says, after he rebuked him, read that with me. Then he and read it with me, and his disciples went to another village. That man did not go into that town. He didn't go fight them. He went another direction, but we don't do that. We let our insecurities make us have pissing contests on social media. We go tell our ex. We go tell them we want to tell everybody and beat him or her to it and say what a terrible parent they are. We want to blame our parents for all our problems when we've been adults for 20 years and the choice has been ours. We want to tell everybody, if you're not voting for them, you're the problem. We've turned elections into competitions. And we're just coping with we're just coping, that's what we're doing. And we're literally talking about overthinking trauma that happened to us 2010, 2 years ago, heck, 2 weeks ago. Because once you come across a line that you need to move on and you don't, you're carrying weight and you're not going anywhere. And you're wondering why you're so angry, why you're so frustrated, why you're living in rejection that you experience, because you've been fighting battles you should have avoided. Jesus did not just tell it like it was and face every obstacle. Matter of fact, the biggest one, he went to the cross. Whew, that'll teach you. He went to the cross and the people killing him, forgive them for they know not what they do. Oh. But then, he didn't go to that village. He bypassed it. He went around it to his ultimate destiny. He didn't do it out of just courtesy and kindness, Catalyst. He did it out of necessity. Because he knew he was either going to be killed before he got to the cross, or he was going to exhaust himself in a battle that he was not meant to fight. And we wonder why we're so exhausted, why we live in our insecurities, why we literally act out them, not just live on them, we act out of them. It's because we're exhausted. It's because we fight every battle. In our world, I hear people, well, I don't put up with that. Man, you come at me, you see. I nuck if you buck. And we do that. We literally fight. We respond to every offense. And you've missed out on the blessings of God. At least a lot of them. Because you fought battles that you should have avoided and went the other direction. I understand that we're in a season that everybody's crying out about their American rights. Listen to me. We have rights, but just because you have a right to do something does not mean it's the right thing to do. We have exhausted ourselves, and we're miserable because we're coping with our crap by criticizing everybody else's. We acknowledge that we're imperfect, but we spend 99% of our times addressing the problems in the world instead of the problems in us. And Jesus said, don't be a jerk. It's not just about other people, it's about you. We address everybody else's issues, and we miss the blessings of God because we're fighting battles we should have never fought. And right now, some of you you've fought battles for years, and I'm telling you, you need to retreat. Don't let anybody tell you you need to run away from some fights. You need to run away from some fights. You need to not engage with your ex. You need to not engage with that toxic family member that you think you're loyal to. You need to not engage. You need to run. That's not love. That's the love of Jesus. You can't do for anybody what you're not willing to do for yourself. You wonder why other people don't respect you? It's because you don't respect you. Because we've spent our lives exhausting ourselves. I want to finish on this. I know I'm way over. Can y'all hang with me a little bit longer? Sorry, Derek. Y'all okay? If I bored you, pissed you off, y'all okay with me? Y'all love me? Okay. 2 things. I want to tell 2 stories to apply this. I don't want you to walk away from this message thinking that I told you don't criticize and invest in people and don't fight any battles. That's not what I said. So I want to give you 2 things. 2 stories to apply. Number 1, our family had to make some adjustments a couple months ago when the whole George Floyd murder happened. What is that? The whole George Floyd thing happened. Do we have any idea what that is? John, can you holler at me? What is it? I know it's me. What do I need to do? Tighten it up again? Whew. This should not happen at the 11. I'm too tired for this. I was at the 2 things, right? We had to make adjustments because we love people. My family, we may have a few different ideas, but we have the same heart. We love people, and we saw people acting complete fools. People disappointed us. People just treating other people that see it. It was sad. And we began to sit at the table and just talk about the problem. And we agree with each other. Like we were talking about the problem. We would talk about it so much we would get pissy at one another. Like really pissy, and before you know it, we'd be in an argument. And finally, we had to set some boundaries. We had to say, we're not going to talk about this. We agree with each other. Now we got to be a part of the solution. I'm telling you, you can rant about a problem long enough that you become a part of it. You need to quit blowing off steam at the table with people who are your yes people. We began to, as a family, lose our hope in people and hope in a solution, and we built this place to be a part of it. It was sad. We began to say, no more talking about it. Not much. We're going to do something about it, and this is our answer. A small part. So we decided to do that. If you talk about the problem 99% of the time, you are going to be the problem. If your post and your conversations are 99% talking about the problem, you're a part of the problem. You're going to be a part of the problem. You have no choice. You can't help it. 2, over the last 3.5 years, we've had a lot of people who have incredible ideas for our church. They've been able to identify the problems and the things we need to go to the next level. And the next level, I mean, we grew in such a way that it almost killed us. Like we were getting to the place we felt like we were catching up with our growth, and then COVID hit. And people had great ideas. You need to do this. This is a problem. You have this event. They were great ideas. And about 50% of the time we would ask people, hey, will you help us head that up? You help us? Will you do this, please? We just don't have the work. And they would say, no. I was just telling you about it. I don't have time to do all that. I just wanted to let you know. I wanted to tell you about that problem or tell you about this good thing, but I don't want to be a part of making it happen. In other words, I just wanted to make mine and Derek's and Sarah D's jobs harder. That is what we do and don't even realize it. I get asked sometimes, well, what do you think we need to do better? What could we do better? All the time. Because people, that's what we want. We want a one-liner that'll solve it all. It'll identify the problem and solve it. There are no one-liners in this world. We are in a mess that there is no one-liner that can identify it or cure it. But I can tell you that I'm going to be a small part of the solution. This is my answer. I'm a pastor, not a politician. I have my political convictions. They've changed a lot. They'll probably change a lot more. But people are my gift. Anybody that serves a Catalyst, you are a part of the solution. And you may be looking for one-liners to define or blame, and you may spend 95% of your time talking about the problem, and another 5% making memes to make fun of people that don't see it the same way as you, but that is not a part of the solution. Let me tell you how to be a part of the solution. Be a good human. Be a good friend. Be kind. Be a good coworker. You spend so much time addressing your other coworkers' problems, and you acknowledge your own, and you wonder, you've been fishing for affirmation and trying to manipulate a promotion and your own problems. Be a better human. Invest in something that is trying to be a part of the solution, not just talking about it. If it's not Catalyst, give it somewhere. If you don't believe in this place, give it somewhere. If you believe here, look, that's how we do it. There's no one-liner that's going to fix it. Better humans. We look in the mirror. We address our crap. We address our crap, not everybody else's. One step at a time. Jesus said, most people aren't the enemy that you see it. And when they are, you need to go a different direction, have a different attitude, and maybe we can live in a world with better results. You hear me, Catalyst? You love me still? Look at somebody and say, Jesus said, don't be a jerk. And then I'm going to publicly apologize for Derek for taking up too much time.
So, some of y'all may have noticed it, and some of you may have tagged me and stuff on Facebook, or maybe even sent me a friend request if you're really short on options. But I'm not on there. I haven't been on there in, I think it's probably been about 6 weeks. I just deleted the app altogether. You still see me on there, so if y'all tag me in ridiculous crap, maybe someday I'll get back on and see it. But it got to where, one night I was, laying in bed, and I was talking to Sarah, and I was like, I just don't know if I can keep doing this. She's like, what? I was like, it's so ugly. Somebody will be like, hey, I'm going to Taco Bell for lunch, and somebody else will be like, oh, your parents should have given you up for adoption because you suck. And then, it'd be like, oh, I completely disagree with this person's views, and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to sneak into your house tonight and kill your puppy and introduce your kids to drugs. I'm paraphrasing. But, that's how I felt. So, I'd look at that stuff before I went to bed, and I couldn't sleep. I'd be angry, and I'd just sit there, and I ended up being disappointed. Because I love people. Just like Ben was talking about, I have a fire inside of me. I have a passion to reach people. And when I would spend too much time on social media, I hated people. All of them. Not a specific person. All of you. Every person ever. I'm like, how could people be this hateful? And here's the thing, I didn't get off there because I was seeing stuff I disagreed with. I could not care less if you disagree with me. I'm open to being wrong. It's happened twice. One of the times I thought I was wrong, but I was really right. But it's happened. But I would be on there, and every single post was either somebody trying to convince me to agree with them, agree with a point that I didn't agree with, or it was somebody that I agreed with trying to convince me more. And neither one of them were worth my exhaustion, my time, and it came to one of those times where I was faced with, just like this thing was with Ben, that Ben was talking about. I had to just go to another village. At a certain point, I was like, you know what? I want to be a part of the solution, and this is not it. Because, like he was talking about, the solution is found in the mirror, not the madness, not the madhouse. The solution is found when I say, okay, we all see the problems. I don't have to go look for problems. Any of y'all need to look for problems? If you do, if you haven't seen problems, we can write you a book. I see problems all the time. But what happens is when I'm looking for the solution out everywhere else, I'm looking for solutions in other people, I miss the point. The solution is in the mirror. And I had to do like Jesus. I had to say, you know what, I'm going to a different village and I'm going looking for a mirror. You can't let things put out your fire. You can't let negativity, you can't let hurtfulness, hatefulness, you can't let those things discourage you. I literally remember sitting in my office talking to Ben. I was like, or maybe I said it that night. I was like, I got to get off social media for a while. He was like, oh, you should. I didn't even have to give him a disclaimer. I was like, it's to the point where I want to reach people, but people make me so angry that I don't even care half the time. That was my fire. That was my fire. I was letting people put out my fire. We can't do that. You can't let people put out your fire. And the solution isn't going and blasting people who are putting out fires. That's just making more fires. The solution is looking in the mirror and seeing, okay, how can I change this? How can I be a part of something different? How can I make this thing better? That's what I want to do. Anybody else?